here about the announcement yesterday. You're going to be playing in front of a completely empty football stadium Saturday. Walk us through what that is like for your players and obviously the disappointment they have and their families have.
Yeah, it's just one more thing that they're just going to have to handle, and it hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of these things that have gone on over the last couple months, some disappointment, and here's another one. But it's going to be an empty stadium, and we're going to have to bring our own energy. I think it was different when we were in there, and we had friends and family there. I think having an empty stadium is going to be just one more thing. But when you're on the field and you're rolling, you really got to just focus on the game and bring your own energy. And we knew again that there was going to be different obstacles along the way. There was going to be more adversity that comes up. And here's another one. It seems like we have another one each week. And this is just another one that we have to handle better than our opponents. So the stadium will be the same for both teams, and we got to handle it better.
All right, we'll go next to Jeremy Birmingham, Leonard Monroe. Jeremy.
Hey, Ryan, in a year like this one, football and culture becomes a much bigger part of the equation. Everyone wants it. It's sort of a buzzword, right? But coming from programs in your past that maybe were less successful to this one, what do you think actually separates programs from those who want culture and those who have the culture that Ohio State has?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I think it's the type of people, first off, that you bring in, the families, the parents. Everybody really cares about each other. And that's where, even times like this, getting information like this, the support that their families are giving these guys right now, because it's hard and they need to be strong and we need to be strong for them. I think that's a huge part of it, and that's the backbone. But it's the work ethic that these guys have, and they embrace that Mick starts in the off season and then we carry over to the season. And we really, really do. I mean, we focus on trying to bring in really good players, but more importantly, great people. And that starts in recruiting. And then really it's once you get into the program, do you want to compete to be elite? Do you want to fight every day to be the best version of yourself? And that's what we do. We just push each other to be better. And we share all that in common. And I think when you combine all those things, that's where you get our culture. And it's as strong as ever. And I couldn't be prouder of the way these guys have worked through this time. Again, has not been easy, but to see these guys persevere and the sacrifice they've been making day in and day out, I'm going to be stronger for this in the end. And I'm really proud of where they're at right now. And I'm really looking forward to these guys being able to play on Saturday.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com. Nathan.
Hey, Ryan, you mentioned Ryan Watts and Legend Cavazos getting some more reps here the last couple of weeks with Cam out. I'm just curious, specifically at that position, what do you need to see from true freshmen in order to know that they're ready to get on the field?
I mean, you try to do the best you can. You try to see in practice, and the more they play better in practice, then the more you believe they're going to be able to do in a game. But that's the thing that again has been difficult, is not knowing, not having these guys game reps. So that's what we've been trying to do in practice, is say, every rep we take is a game rep when you're competing against each other. And when the first team goes against the first team, the second team goes against the second team, you're going against really good players on the other side of the ball. And that allows us the opportunity to at least project it out. And then I'm hoping we can get some of these guys some reps as we get into the next couple of games.
All right, next up, Dave Biddle, 247. Dave.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, Ryan. I heard you talking about Michael Penix on your radio show. You were talking about his unique arm angle and things of that nature. You're obviously an expert on quarterbacking, as everybody knows. I'm just curious, how often – I know you're focused on your quarterbacks and your offense, but how often do you pull your defensive coaches aside and give them insights on the opposing quarterback? Like, might you say, like, hey, notice this or that about Penix, things like that?
Yeah. I mean, when we have carryover and we're able to watch each other, especially on our side of the division, we watch a lot of games that they need to plays on offense. You have a pretty good feel for what they're trying to do, how they're trying to attack defenses. And so, had decent amount of conversation with Kerry about a lot of that stuff. And it's good. And, again, not trying to mandate anything, just giving my opinion about a lot of things.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch. Bill?
Ryan, I was fascinated by the comments you made in the radio show about 57 practices and only 3 games, and even the thing about the last play of the Rutgers game. Just how much of an effect does that have when so much of the percentage of the time you've been on the field has been practices rather than games, and that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it is. And then you don't have the crowd when you score a touchdown. After all that work, you don't feel that excitement. You just don't get that feedback. So that's real. We're not going to hide from it. I mean, it's real. There's a void there. There's been a lot of practice, not a lot of games. And so that's why these guys are dying to play in this game on Saturday. They had a great week of practice, great energy, and they're dying to play. And so, it's been a challenge. Again, it's the way it's been. So when you look at it that way, there's been a great opportunity to get better. Very many of those practices have not been in pads because of the way it all played out, through August and then into September. But still, practice is practice. And that is football a little bit, is that, you only have so many opportunities. That's why you have to make sure you make them count.
Thanks.
Next up, Clay Hall, WSYX. Clay.
Hey, Ron, do you feel like you spoke to this a little bit? It seems like you and the players would be PhDs now in sudden change. and how will that benefit them and you down the road?
That's a great question, Clay. I think it's going to really help them down the road. There's been so many life lessons that have happened since March about perseverance, about pain, about adversity, about ups, about downs, about work ethic, moments with themselves. And I just think when they're 10, 20 years down the road and something like this comes in front of them, they'll handle it like adults. They'll handle it maturely. They'll understand that, there's going to be a next day, that we can still work through things. And again, the thing that we keep talking about is when things go great, enjoy it the best you can. When things aren't going so well, you just got to manage it and hang on the best you can. And I believe that's life. And they're learning that every day. And they're more mature and stronger than they were a month ago or 6 months ago. And as hard as this has been, I know they're learning a lot. And it certainly hasn't been easy on their mental health. It's been tough. But I know that we're going to be stronger coming out of it.
Sweet.
Next up, Austin Ward, Letterman Row. Austin.
Ryan, can you go back to just legend a little bit with the way that this season has worked? I mean, you blink and half of the year is gone. He missed the training camp. It wasn't normal.
Yep.
Is there enough time for somebody in his situation to get back and help, if that makes sense? I mean, it's got to be a bigger challenge than from other years.
Yeah, I think, he can help. How many plays, that's up to him. He did get banged up there, so he was out, and he missed some of those practices as well, so that was really hard. He was making a good push, but then, again, had that injury, and so but now he's getting back into it again. He's starting to practice. And so, it'll just kind of be, how much can he help? And I'm hoping that, he gets an opportunity to get out there, get his feet wet, learn from his mistakes, and keep getting better.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep.
All right, we'll go next to Doug Lamarice, Cleveland.com. Doug.
Ryan, we know you guys are being smart with how much you're asking Justin to run, and sometimes he'll take those opportunities there. But when Justin does run, how good do you think he is as a runner, as a quarterback, whether it's a called run or when he scrambles?
I think he's very good. I think he's strong. I think he's powerful. I think his movement in the pocket has been good. I think in the Rutgers game, you saw a couple, 2-3 times where, a rusher came in free and he made the guy miss, but didn't panic, didn't go into just scramble mode, kept his eyes downfield, found DeMario on one, found Garrett Wilson on the other. And I think that part has really, really improved. Just his flat out running skills, though. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he can run. So I think he's a very good runner.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, sure.
All right, got time for a couple more. We'll go to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop. Tony.
Ryan, you've got all of these concerns as the Ohio State head coach, but I'm wondering, this year, did Nicholas Petit-Frere maybe not become one of those concerns as much as he's been in the past?
No, I mean, Nick's been playing very well. He's worked really hard in his body, and so far he's performed well. And he's got to keep it going now. It's only been 3 games. But to this point, I agree with you. He's playing at a starter level for sure.
All right, next up, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors. Dan?
Hey, Ryan, are you expecting to have Blake Cobiel back on Saturday? And if not, would Jake Siebert be the guy to kick field goals?
I'm not sure if he'll be ready. It's still day-to-day, and yes, it would be Jake.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch. Joey.
Ryan, you've talked a few times this year about when you're playing games without fans, you got to bring your own juice, and that's hard, obviously, at times to do. Have you felt there's been kind of, I guess, how much would you equate the lack of a home field advantage in the Big 10 this season. The home teams, their winning percentages have been a bit down. Is that a real thing, or?
Yeah, I think it's a real thing. If you believe that the crowd has any effect on a game, yeah. I mean, whether it's snap counts or just energy, momentum on defense, things like that, getting them up on third down, I think for sure it's had an effect. Yeah, I mean, the only thing really that's different is that you're not in your home stadium. You're not traveling somewhere else. But in terms of the playing conditions, yeah, it is different not having fans there.
All right, and last question to Tim Nate, Letterman Monroe. Tim's
under a 10. Hey, Tim.
Yeah, I'm kind of in I'm in a golf course. Sorry about that, man. I had the wind's blowing like 30. It's affecting my game, brother. Hey, real quick, Ryan, I guess the test for Saturday's game comes Friday night, the COVID test, right? The first three, do you just hold your breath after the tests are taken and before you get the results back? Explain what the angst is like for a head coach in that, you know what I mean? Because a guy could still, as we found out with Justin, you still be ruled out, Justin Hilliard.
Yeah, no, I go for a run or for a walk during that time, so I try not to think about it because, yeah, that's like you're just holding your breath. And then, every once in a while, I'll call Sean, what do we got? How many guys we got in? And he'll go through because it's nerve-wracking. It really is, and especially as you get closer to the game. And I'll say this, about 2020, we're going to go back on this in a few years and say, remember that press conference when Tim had a question from the golf course in some sort of tent over there, because this is only in 2020 do we do something like this. This is unbelievable.
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do, right?
I got you.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All good.
All righty, Coach. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Mike.
Tim, is that a side hill while you on?
Yes.
All right, guys. Thank you. We'll talk to you after the game Saturday.